At Council Bluffs Savings Bank, our goal is to help you, your families, and your businesses grow and prosper for generations. We take pride in our community, whether it's volunteering our time or helping individuals, families, and businesses succeed. We provide you with the personal service and attention you deserve. With over 220 years of banking experience, decisions are made locally. We are Council Bluffs people operating at Council Bluffs Bank to help Council Bluffs be a better place to work and live. Council Bluffs Savings Bank. Hometown banking, the way it used to be. Member FDIC.
Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Called meeting order. Let the record show all members of council are present. Do we have a motion for the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Is there discussion?
I'd like to amend the motion to reflect that 3D, setting that for public hearing for November 18th.
Second.
Okay. Anything else? As amended, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. This evening, we do have 3 ordinances, a group of resolutions, some applications for permits. We do follow the agenda. If you'd like to speak on any of those items, please step to the microphone, give your name and address for the record. I also, all council members are, and mayor are wearing a black shirt to honor the police department. Last week or 2 weeks ago, we wore pink shirts, and so this is breast cancer awareness month, so we're going both sides, so I'm glad you're happy there. Madam Clerk?
Ordinance on first reading, ordinance 6196, amending chapter 15.26, nonconformities by amending section 15.26.030, nonconforming uses, subsection 5, allowance for repairs, and by amending section 15.26.040, nonconforming structure, subsection 2, repair of a nonconforming structure, setting a public hearing for November 18, 2013 at 7 p.m.
Second. Oh, I'm sorry. No attention.
I'd make a motion to set public hearing for November 8th.
It's like reading it at the same time. Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor and a second to move the public hearing for November 8th, 2013 at 7 p.m. Any discussion?
18th.
8th. 18th?
18th.
Oh. November 18th.
Tonight.
You're not psychic. Yes.
There's been so many changes I can't keep.
No, I agree.
Well, and I'd just say the reason there's some confusion about the dates is that because the council meeting, typically the first meeting in each month is the second week, which happens to be Veterans Day, and City Hall is closed on Veterans Day, and in remembrance of our fallen veterans, we didn't think it appropriate to have a council meeting on that night. So we talked about the 4th. We talked about the 18th. We've settled on the 18th. So.
Okay, any discussion?
Forgive me, Tom, is this the appropriate time for me to address the council as I'm the author of this?
Yep, and come on, go ahead. And again, what the council is doing tonight is setting the public hearing for November 18th.
My name is Leslie Kennedy. I'm the author of this movement to change.
Address, please.
1806 Tosteban Street, 1802 Tosteban Street, and 1800 Tosteban Street.
You can only live in one.
Come on down, I'll show you I do. The mailing address is 1806.
All right.
Up until recently, I was unaware of the issues involved in this matter. Since that time, I've been doing some investigation at the meeting across the way a couple weeks ago. It was asked how long this ordinance has been in existence. I asked that question myself before I started this. It would seem the common denominator here is back in 1920. The bare bones of this is for the council to consider as this proceeds forward. The way the ordinance is written at this time, the properties are so devaluated that financial agencies will not accept them as collateral for lending purposes. I can provide you with documentation if anybody would like that. 5 years ago, we got a mortgage on 1806, just a word of mouth, blah, blah, blah. The concept of C2 was not addressed at that time. Just recently, we applied to renegotiate that mortgage. It was appraised, and the appraiser brought up the issue of C2. We were denied because that very property is now unacceptable collateral. Our credit is AAA. That got me started hunting. Then I found out my neighbor across the street, the wife is 86 and the husband is, I think he's 83. They applied for a loan to help cover some medical expenses. They were denied because their property is unacceptable. The concept of not being able to rebuild your home after a tragedy by city ordinance is, very bluntly, to me, that's ludicrous. I've been paying insurance to rebuild my home for 15 years. Rebuild it to the status it was in at the time of any damage, a fire, tornado, the Lost Hills falling down on top of the place, whatever. I've been wasting my money. My insurance man tells me it's not rebuildable, so we don't have to cover it. It's my understanding this ordinance was initiated back in the 20s when when everything was different back then. There was not near the amount of codes, building codes, requirements, this, that, and the other. So this was it's my understanding that this was put in to weed out the people that just, oh well, leave it until they were made to do something with it. Today, everything is different. And I'm sure we all understand that our codes are living documents. And as living things, things change from time to time. And I would appreciate it if you would all give this some serious consideration as we go forward. If there's any questions, feel free to contact me personally at my home. I don't think it's on record here, but my phone number is 323-4777. And I'll be more than happy to provide any information I can. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Kenny, I'd just say that for 25 years, I've been a commercial lender. And certainly, we have never discriminated between residential property or commercial. Both have value. I don't doubt you have AAA credit, but I would assume that you're in a similar situation that I was in recently, and that the home I purchased now, appraised value, is worth $60,000 less than what I paid for it. And so if you just did a loan 5 years ago and they've reappraised it, the value in the property is probably not there, not because of the zoning, but because of the market itself. And so I don't know that the zoning affected that. Now, I understand your argument maybe a little bit on damaged home being replaced, but it's certainly the fact that it's zoned commercial.
If I may, my information comes from the First National Bank. Again, contact me privately. I will give you the name of the people that told me if this ordinance didn't exist, the loan would go right through.
Okay, I'll contact you.
It's not a value issue. It doesn't sound like as much as it is. They're not comfortable with the
For
collateral.
what, if I may, for what it's worth, I just acquired 1800 Tostovan Street. 3 years ago, it was worth, according to the city, it was worth $50-some thousand. I bought it this year for $10,000 because of this ordinance.
No,
It
this
could
ordinance is
not
in
be,
place.
it couldn't be rebuilt, it couldn't be repaired. That rendered it to be a level lot.
No, and I'm an appraiser, so I know and I work on these issues a lot, and those values are not relative to, they're not related to the zoning. But what I did want to ask is, what year did you buy the residence you're living in at 1806 Tostovan?
That was back in 1991, I believe.
1991, and it was zoned commercial when you bought it?
It was zoned C2 when I bought it, but I was unaware at that time, and nobody made me aware of any of the issues about C2, buying into C2.
I see, okay.
And it seems to be a common practice that nobody's aware of the complications of getting involved in a C2 property. So you might want to left-handedly think about passing an ordinance that prospective buyers or new buyers have to be informed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Any other discussion?
Copies of what Carla Limmer, 3010 Avenue J. I have copies of what I'm going to say.
Motion to receive and file.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
I had given thoughts to waiting until the open hearing on this, but I would like to really have this stuff out here for you guys to, food for thought, okay? I am, of course, here to support the changes in this ordinance 6196. Requested changes are aimed at allowing all citizens, not just landlords, and in fact, this was brought to the city by a owner-occupied property owner to do repairs to any structure, including private property, whether or not it has 50% damage using current building codes only, as long as the structure is restored to its original condition. The restriction of damages to a structure, in our case private housing, now restricted at needing to be below 50% damage, prevents an owner at his own expense or with the help of an insurance company to keep his property and fix it up to its original condition. The decision should be the owner's decision, not a zoning ordinance that puts modern-day codes on an existing structure, especially in older neighborhoods, unfairly. The impact of this change would, of course, be much higher on landlords of this city. A large number of older dwellings in Council Bluffs have been purchased as investments by citizens of this city and provide low-income housing to Council Bluffs citizens. Investors and owner-occupied housing owners would like to be free to repair and replace damage for any reason, structures they have poured many dollars into. The city and other groups within the city are making plans to transform/modernize our older neighborhoods. To do so means all owners have to be allowed to do repairs and replacements, especially if damage has caused a structure to become unsafe, and instead of boarding them up and walking away because of all the red tape and the extra cost, they should have a free hand to do what needs to be done. How many empty 30-foot lots does the city want to maintain? How many of these empty lots do citizens have to repeatedly complain about? There are investors and citizens that may want the chance to do this if all of the regulations could just be relaxed and they would be allowed to do work themselves with permits and inspections, without the cost of professionals at every turn and bend. If it isn't done right, it would not pass and occupancy would be barred. The professionals would still have plenty of work by those that prefer not to tackle certain projects. If, as it is stated on the comments of a city department, that the change, and this is quoting their statement, would result in a disparity between conforming uses/structures and legally non-conforming structures, because it would allow a legally non-conforming structure to be reconstructed to different standards than an otherwise permitted use and/or structure in a conforming situation, therefore conferring a special privilege to the legally non-conforming structure. How can this pertain to housing in a residential neighborhood? My opinion is that the terms conforming uses and conforming structures should not be used in the same requirement code that includes housing in residential neighborhoods. I believe there should be codes stating that a repair or damage of any structure, especially housing, should be allowed as long as you take it back to its original condition and leave the usage the same. I want to put in here that it's saying using current building codes. If it is existing, the owner should be allowed to fix it, and if the city can find something drastically wrong with the current use of the structure, then they should take other routes to solve that issue. You can't extend lot sizes to accommodate these restrictive zoning codes. Some people would like to repair a home that is more than 50% damaged and can be restored to a healthy and safe occupancy. For example, a totally renovated rental property on North 7th Street required a lot of work and expense to fix up. When all was said and done, the owner is being forced to tear the wraparound portion of the porch and roof off, even when the main entrance is on the wraparound side of the porch, as it has been for decades. The replaced porch was not at all different from the original porch. Yet, per this code, it is non-conforming and must be taken down. I own the house next door to it, and yes, it's a rental, and I have the same wraparound porch, the same lot width, and I pray nothing happens to that porch that I would need to replace or repair more than 50% of it. What this describes is a world that exists from the point of view of the property owners and the ease with which those who own no stake in the property can effectively destroy value and resources of the property owner under the guise that our local elected officials are trying to preserve the value of the surrounding property owners. This constitutes an example of regulatory takings. The neighbors, including a well-known neighborhood organization, Children's Square USA, found this improvement to be beneficial to all. The homeowner has changed the framing, but not the footprint the structure creates on the property. It is as it was originally built decades ago, but with a much-needed neat and clean look. The problem is not with the residents' use of the property. The problem is with the blanket restrictive laws applied equally to all neighborhoods, new or old. While attempting to preserve the character of the neighborhood to be kept in line with the character, local codes demand otherwise. The enforcement of these codes in the above case is destructive and not working to stated goals of Council Bluffs neighborhoods. There needs to be a change in the codes to allow a variance of the mindset thinking of some residents and officials. Preserve the right for all citizens to use their properties in the same manner as the rest of the neighborhood the property sits in, and as a history has shown what is right for that neighborhood. Along with housing, if there is an ice cream shop, a corner store, a flower shop, bank or credit union, let all be allowed repair and replacement work. This either wants owners to fix their places up or they don't, and will allow the deterioration to continue without code changes as requested. I am asking the council to vote yes on these changes. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion on the floor and a second to have a public hearing November 18th. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Ordinance on third reading, ordinance 6193, amending the zoning map as adopted by reference in section 15.02.070 by rezoning property located at 1406, 1412, 1414, and 1420 4th Avenue, legally describes it as lots 10 through 14, block 39, Beer subdivision, from I-1 Light Industrial District to R2 Two-Family Residential District as set forth and defined in chapters 15.20 and 15.09.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ordinance passes the law.
Ordinance 6194, amending the zoning map as adopted by reference in section 15.02.070 by rezoning softball fields located off North 8th Street between Avenue I and Avenue J, legally described as lots 1 through 12, and all of the vacated alley, block 5, and lots 1 through 5, block 6, Crawford's rearrangement of block 5, 6, and 7, and all of vacated North 9th Street adjacent. All of vacated Avenue J adjacent to blocks 5 and 6 except the south half of the east 310.61 feet, along with that part of Outlot 2, Crawford's addition, lying east of North 10th Street, from R2 to Family Residential District to A2 Parks, Estates, and Agricultural District, as set forth and defined in chapters 15.09 and 15.05.
Motion to approve the ordinance.
Second.
Is there discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ordinance passes the law.
Resolutions, Resolution 13-262, adopting the planned commercial development plan for the redevelopment of Bluffs Northway Shopping Center on property legally described as being lots 2 and 3 Walmart's Bluffs Northway.
Motion to approve the resolution in concurrence with the Planning Commission's recommendation.
Second.
Is there discussion?
I will vote no on that. I'm more inclined to approve, as per the Community Development Department's recommendation. I don't think that, even though we have the discretion to reduce the amount of green space, I am a big proponent of green space, and I think we should leave it at 10%.
I would say that there is no green space there today, and I would say that you are effectively killing potentially $1 million+ in economic development.
I'll be voting in favor for it in that, in addition to the added green space that'll be going in, they've got a 4-acre parcel that they will be doing some cleanup on behind that parcel, where there'll also be green space. So I think that we'll have a lot more green space than we have now, and there's, under the current agreements that are in place, it'd be difficult for them to meet the city's request for 10%.
And without allowing this to go forward, it will sit the way it is with no green space, and so.
And it is exciting to see this area develop. It's an area that's in desperate need of some redevelopment, so I will as well be voting in favor. I think the landscaping that we did see pictures of will be good.
I struggle with this one because it's difficult to see why we would deviate from 10% when that's generally what we use. However, in this case, I must say that because it's under the part of the code, the planned overlay, and that there are other allowances that the developer has made, including the use of 4 acres for the use of runoff, I don't think this is creating precedent that we would be deviating from the 10% rule with, as a favor to a developer without an equivalent gain to the taxpayer in return. And I'm also concerned that otherwise it'll remain vacant. So I will reluctantly support the resolution.
Well, I just want to make it clear that I'm not against the development, and it was always my hope that that the Walmart development would spur other development. I know this is going to pass, but I am compelled to vote no because of the green space issue, but I do support your project, and good luck.
Any other discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Resolution 13-263, amending the adopted plan residential overlay for lots 22 through 28 Carroll subdivision relative to maximum coverage.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Resolution 13-264, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute an agreement with the Iowa Department of Transportation in connection with the All-Town Sign Replacement Program.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Resolution 13-265, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute an agreement with Snyder and Associates for engineering services in connection with the South First Street Neighborhood Rehab Phase 5.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Resolution 13-266, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute an agreement with HGM Associates Incorporated for engineering services in connection with the West Pierce Street reconstruction.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Resolution 13-267, authorizing the mayor to execute Iowa DOT agreement number 14-ABRRU-10 in connection with the Benton Street Bridge over Indian Creek.
Make a motion to postpone until January 13th, 2014.
Second.
Is there discussion?
I want to wait and see if we can get some information back, Public Works to come back with some alternatives. This is a small bridge that really accesses very few properties, and the price tag is extremely high. Even with getting some funding from the state at 80%, it would still cost us like $541,000 for our portion of that. So looking for some alternatives to come back from Public Works before we make that decision.
Any other discussion?
I want to concur in Council Member White's assessment and commend her for looking out for the interest of the taxpayer and making certain that we make decisions that make good financial sense. And so I want to thank her for doing that.
Anything else? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Resolution 13-268, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute an agreement with Earhart Griffin and Associates for engineering services in connection with the North 27th Street Rehab Phase 1.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Is there discussion? Roll call.
White,
Abstain.
Brannigan,
Aye.
Head,
Aye.
Walsh,
Aye.
Watson.
Aye.
Resolution 13-269, designating the city council meeting dates for 2014.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Resolution 13-271, authorizing the acquisition of 110 South 28th Street.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Application for permits and cancellation 7A and B.
Motion to approve 7A and B.
Second.
Is there discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That does end the written agenda for this evening. Anyone from the council like to speak with the or anyone from the audience like to speak with the council? Anyone from the council this evening?
I have something under other business. Is that? I would like to make a motion to move the November 4th city council meeting to December 2nd.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to move the meeting from November 4th to December 2nd.
And the reason behind that is, we're meeting now, November 4th is next week, which is before the next planning commission. So we're kind of, because of Veterans Day holiday, we're sort of at odd scheduling. But there's a lot of business that potentially needs to be wrapped up in, before Tom leaves, the mayor leaves us. And so this gives us still 3 more opportunities to have a council meeting before the end of the year and before the end of Mayor Hannafin's term.
And I would add that I support this because this would allow a far more even spacing as opposed to having meetings 2 weeks in a row, which seems like a waste of time and money for everyone involved.
Especially if there's nothing really much on the agenda to address in 7 days.
Exactly, and then having a lot of things to do in December and only one meeting to do it, and then we'd have to schedule a special like many years, and that just doesn't make sense.
Any other discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Anyone from the council?
I think this is appropriate, and Dick, stop me if it's not. Since we effectively canceled the November 4th meeting, it's very important that people take an active role in government and get out and vote. I don't know the official number, but with 404 votes for an unopposed candidate in the school board election, I'm assuming less than 500 people voted in that election. Was it 3.8% of the people voted in the city council primary? This is going to be the first change in leadership in the mayor's office in 25 years. And so I think people need to get informed, do their homework, and please get out and vote, and please not only do that, but encourage other people to vote, so.
And I'd like to add on that, on top of that, in that if you can't get to the polls on Election Day, which is November 5th, you are able to go to the county, the courthouse at any time. You can either request an absentee ballot, or while you're there, you can actually vote. You don't have to go to your precinct on the 5th. You can vote now. I've already actually been and voted because I'm out of town on Tuesday, unfortunately. But it is important for you to cast a vote, whether it's on Election Day or via absentee ballot. So I would encourage everybody.
And for those who are not able, due to time commitments or perhaps physically unable to get to the courthouse, I called the auditor's office this morning, and the county auditor, the titles can be confusing sometimes. The auditor is in charge, is also the election commissioner in Iowa, in each county. And I was curious because someone asked me what was the deadline to mail in a request. You can go online. You can also get them, I believe, at the library. You know, if you were to call City Hall or call the auditor's office, I'm certain we could get you. It's a one-page document if you don't have internet access. But you have to have it postmarked, I'm told, by the auditor's office by Friday. It apparently does not matter when they receive it, but the mail generally should allow it in time. But I wouldn't wait if it were me, because, you know, it's just like anything else. You wait till the last minute, it may not arrive in time. So I'd encourage you, if for whatever reason you're out of town, or you just don't, you no longer have to have a quote-unquote valid reason. If you just don't want to go stand in line that day, you're allowed under current law to ask for an absentee. And, you know, Council Member Walsh, the Mayor Pro Tem, is right that when you have only 3.4 or 8% of folks turn out, you know, this body and the mayor who leads it and the council who works with the mayor decides about, what is it, about $121 million a year of your money goes. And, you know, over the last couple centuries, it used to be the vast majority of us, me included, wouldn't have been allowed to vote. Very, very few people could vote. And over time, more and more people were able to acquire the right to vote. And it took a civil war. It took a lot of marching, women chaining themselves to fences and starving themselves to death, so that the right that we can show up and be a part of it and have a say. And I think, if nothing else, to have a say, like the old saying goes, if you can't really complain if you weren't part of picking the folks. And so let's try to get that number up. I've heard some reports that they're only expecting maybe 10 or 12% of folks to turn out. And our people are better than that. I know we can do it. I know we're all busy. Trust me, I know. But please make an effort to show up. It's very important that, for the sake of governance, that we all vote for the candidates of our choice.
Anyone else? The only thing I'd like to say tonight is we had a soccer tournament this weekend, 160 teams, and they came from around the Midwest, and got an email this morning saying how well the fields were taken care of. You know, the people that do the field work, not only did they have the 160 teams, they had a full weekend of soccer, Little League football, and also the softball fields were open all weekend. So it was a packed house. A lot of people came into the community, and the first thing they see is that field and all the accolades that we heard about how nice it looked. We have one of the finest complexes in the United States. I'll put it up against anybody in the Midwest. We'll have over 600,000 people go through that facility this year. And it's a tremendous asset, but there are a lot of people, just the guys and women that go to work every day, put their heart and soul in that thing to make it better. So we see one of them, say thanks, because they really were the people that really opened up Council Bluffs this weekend.
I just wanted to wish everybody a safe Halloween. Drive carefully. All the little ones will be out on Thursday evening. Let's hope for good weather. And just everybody, please stay safe.
some big ones out, too.
Really?
With that,
What's your costume?
we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned.
At Council Bluffs Savings Bank, we take pride in our community and volunteering our time to helping individuals, families, and businesses succeed. We are Council Bluffs people operating a Council Bluffs bank to help Council Bluffs be a better place to work and live. Hometown banking, the way it used to be.